Hi and welcome to my basic Photoshop series of tutorials. We'll be looking at the simple things within Photoshop to begin with and hopefully get you going into creating either some photo manipulation or even drawings and paintings. When you open Photoshop, this is your default setup. I'm using Photoshop CS1, which is about 8 or 9 years old. And it's perfectly adequate for what most people need. Very similar to Photoshop Elements, which is a cheaper version, cut down version of Photoshop, and for a beginner, perfectly suitable. So we'll just have a quick tour around the desktop with Photoshop open. On your left here is your main tools palette. These are the tools you often use. You've got the selection sets, your painting, colouring, drawing, rubbing out sets, your vector tools, some general purpose tools like move, eyedropper for picking colours, magnification tool, your background foreground colours which are switchable, default black and white. I'll leave these for now. When you click on one of these tools, the options for each tool will be displayed here. Your general menu is up here. We'll start with, if we go to File, New, you're presented with an Options dialog box where we can name the document we're going to create. We can choose a preset size, which is all the different types of paper sizes, photograph sizes, general screen resolution sizes. We also have video sizes and general international paper sizes. We'll choose 800 by 600. And because of this, it defaulted to 72 pixels per inch resolution, which is standard for any screen display. We'll leave it at RGB color. All these bits I'll go into in more detail later on, but just to get a document open, we'll start by using these settings. Don't worry if yours are different, it makes no difference. So here's our image, which is obviously blank or white at the moment. Each image created will have a default background layer that's locked. To unlock the layer, simply double click on it. We can name the layer BG for background. We can choose a color, mode, normal, press OK. That's our standard background color. Okay, now that we've got to this point, I'll just go through a few different things with you. Some of the main tools. On the right we have what's called the various palettes. I'll be going into these in much more detail as we go through. But a few of the most important ones are the navigator, which is a quick way to zoom in and out. Info will give you your position pixel wise according to the image of where your cursor is. Color, it's a quick way to choose colors. History, quite an important one. Depending on the memory allocated, it records all your various moves within Photoshop up to a certain point, and you can just go back on all these or go forward. One important thing is if you do go back and do something, it will erase the ones after that, so just be aware. Layers, very important, very powerful, and I'll be going into this in more detail. Channels, this is where you create your alpha channels. I'll go into later, as well as paths. When you open Photoshop, these will generally default to something like this, but if you go into Window, you can see the ones that are open are the ones that have got ticks, and just by ticking you can open an awful lot more. I don't want to overcrowd it at the moment. Up here you've got your brushes, your tool presets and layer compositions, which we'll go into later on. These tools are what we'll touch on the next tutorial, as well as going in depth into the selection tools. See you later.